Our next example is called video 14.3 animation progress. Okay, so the only change compared to the previous example is this designation that we say that when we schedule next frame and we see if our frame index is still less than the maximum, we increment the frame index and we schedule the next frame to be displayed after the time interval. Okay, using threading timer. At the same time, if the animation has ended, now what we do inside of our object, because frame index is our data attribute inside of our object, I say that let's set frame index to maximum +1, and this will indicate that the state of the object is that the animation is complete. Okay, so before it reaches this condition, it's not complete, right? So we can check it and we continue to invoke this next frame function continuously, and then the new check for completion or animation in progress is this new member function that I added that simply compares frame index with maximum, and it says if it's still less or equal, it means the animation is not yet finished. So we can just simply use this function to find out whether the animation is still in progress. And notice that this is a comparison operator, less or equal, so therefore the result of this expression is a Boolean true or false, right? So if it's still in progress, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay, and so to demonstrate this new function, and this recognition that we have a state, now I create the animated backdrop and start animation by just saying, let's start showing these animation frames. But the new thing is that we now say that so the main thread, remember that, again, just a quick annotation of what we said before, that we now have this main thread of execution. It creates an object, so it basically creates an object that then goes ahead and calls this next frame member function, and displays the first frame, and without any delays it drops out, and then this main frame is going to execute this loop. But because the timer in Python requires creation of a new frame, all these animations will be happening on this separate frame. Like, this will be invoked a certain number of times, and the animation basically keeps running and running and running, here executing all these frames. At the same time, the main thread of execution, which started this whole sequence, is now going to be trapped in this while loop. So what does it do? Okay, so here it basically says, is animation is still in progress. So of course, while all these functions are going to be invoked during the animation, it will return true, and we're going to remain in this loop. And because we don't want to overwhelm the number of calls to check whether the animation is in progress, I decided that we may as well just wait the whole second before the next time to check this progress status, whether it's still in progress or not. So I use the timer, and for this we import the time module, and we are going to use this sleep function, time sleep, which simply puts the main thread to sleep for 1 second. After this, it wakes up, check this condition again, and as long as animation is in progress, it's going to continue waiting. Effectively, this is the waiting loop for our animation to finish, and then we will continue. So this will print the new line, and we're going to report finally as soon as the animation is over, we're going to report that the first animation is complete. Okay, and what else could we do with our objects in general? There is a delete command that can delete objects, so we can free up memory and say we're no longer are using this object, so it will be deleted from memory. And we can also create a new instance of it. So this time, so first time we've used default parameters. This time I decided to use explicit parameters, where we just basically say what we would like to use in terms of constructing this new instance of animated backdrop. And the same thing happens. We're just going to display the second animation, and then we're going to report, again, we're going to wait for it, and then we're going to report that the second animation is complete. So it's now with this animation in progress member function, we can be pretty sure that the animation is still running, so we need to wait, and we use all this logic. But once it's complete, then it's safe to use console output again in the main thread. So let's run this example. This is video 14.3. Okay, so it's going to do the same thing. It's going to run here and run at different animation speeds. You see that the first animation was like doing like 2 frames per second, and this one, because this was defined right here, 2 frames per second, this is why this animation was running kind of slow. And this one was when we recreate the animation backdrop object, we specified that this time we want frame per second parameter to be 24. Okay, 24 frames per second. So this animation was running a little faster. Okay, so this is now a problem solved with respect to checking whether the animation is still in progress, because we need this to synchronize our animations with the main thread, which continues, if necessary, can continue interacting with the user.